Hey everybody, happy Friday to you. Ho ho ho, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I hope you guys are all somewhere warm. Last night it was got around minus 15 here last night, and then it's gonna be I think around zero tonight. Cold stuff. Hey guys, I just wanted to come on and give you a Friday message. I have a few things that I want to talk about. One of which is everybody working their own program, and kind of the idea that most people, when they come into recovery, they don't have a clue. I didn't have a clue. And most of the people that I see come into recovery, even if you've been to treatment time after time after time like I have, you still don't have a clue when you come in, right? And I'll speak for myself. I was clueless, powerless, and abandoned. I felt like I didn't have anything left to give. I felt like I didn't have anybody in my corner. I didn't even really truly know how alone I was in those moments. But now looking back, I can surely see that I had very little support, and I ended up in jail in 2010. I robbed a pharmacy, and I know that might be shocking to some, but I have quite the story. And I did that, and I dropped my phone on the way out of that pharmacy. It was in my hoodie, and I was running, and it fell out, and I didn't hear it. And that's just God's way of humbling me. Because if I had continued down that road any longer, I would have either killed myself or somebody else. And at that time, you guys, I was married to a high school teacher. We coached volleyball, like high school, junior high girls volleyball, and locally, and junior high girls basketball. And my wife was a coach, and she was getting her master's. And we had moved back down from Park Rapids, where I had originally kind of met her, and where we had stayed for a couple of years. And I got involved in a softball league, and it was the thing to do. And Erica was real active, and I wanted to be real active. And I'm just coming into life. I'm just 22, 23, 24 years old. And I went to my softball practice, and I took a huge swing, and my feet, since I had cleats on, stayed in the ground planted, and my whole body moved. Therefore, my knee came up out of place, and it dislocated. It was an excruciating thing, I think, that had happened to me up till that point. It was a pretty traumatic injury. My knee had swollen up, and you got to remember, at that point in my life, Erica's teaching, and I'm active. I'm doing some job out there. I think I'm a foreman at a cabinet shop called SWI. And I'm young, I'm getting after it. I just shot a 10-point buck the year before. I'm hunting, I'm fishing, I have a boat. I got a boat from my godparents who live further up north. And when this all happened to me, the doctor gave me a bottle of Vicodin. And I brought the Vicodin home, and I was laid up. And at that time, I was trying to get into the military. And my uncle Leroy Stumpf, who was in the Senate at the time in Minnesota, I had him write me up a congressional letter of recommendation, and he did so. And he wrote it for me because I tried to get into the National Guard after the Marines didn't accept me, and I didn't get in. And then once the knee injury happened, I was pretty set back. I knew in my heart of hearts then that I probably wasn't going to be able to get in the military. So the kind of a 1-2 punch, right? A life 1-2 punch hit me there, and I took the bottle of Vicodin, and it didn't last but a couple days, and that is what started my second phase of addiction in my life. The first phase of my addiction started when I was around 20, okay? And I was dating a girl named Stacy, and her dad, Tom, had a medicine cabinet in the bottom of his house where we were staying. And I looked in the medicine cabinet, and I think it was oxycodone. So I'm 20. I'm drinking, but I've experimented with drugs here and there. I've been through the ringer a little bit with meth, just a little bit. And I'm clean and I'm sober. And I met Stacy, and Stacy just got out of prison for manufacturing methamphetamines, right? I'm young. I'm naive. I met her at the place that I worked temporarily. She had 4 kids. And so it's crazy, right? Man, my life is crazy. It's been a wild ride. So I took one of them pills from Tom's medicine cabinet, and unfortunately that was like, it was like, this is what I was looking for my whole life. I could do anything on that. I could do anything. I was a rock star, but that started my addiction. And then once me and Stacy broke up, I found this guy named Robert who worked at my cabinet shop that I worked at in Ramsey, Great Woods Cabinetry. And while I was working at Great Woods Cabinetry, I met this guy named Robert. He was a Native American guy, and he brought me out to his house out in Zimmerman. And in the back of their house, his aunt was laid up with a back injury, and she was like bedridden, and she was getting morphine of all different types, like 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, all kinds, right? Purple, pink, all different sorts, right? I only really remember the purple ones. So I started taking those, and that was like another hit of like, holy moly, like this is what I've been looking for. So I brought those home, and of course, after a while, my connect, Robert's parents found out what we were doing, and they cut off the morphine drip basically for me after about a year. I got hooked on morphine, and I was using them. Oh man, I was taking 10, 20, 30 a day, and then those got cut off, and I went through a really, really, really bad withdrawal. The withdrawals were so bad. I remember laying on my floor in my one-bedroom apartment there right before I met Erica, about a year before I met Erica. And so I'm laying on there, and I'm just miserable, and I started drinking Jack Daniels, thinking that would help me get through the morphine, and it just brought about a madness in my life. Like, I can clearly remember sitting in that living room there, and I was going mad. So I checked myself into the hospital, and I told them, I'm sick. I don't know what's going on. I didn't really know I was going through withdrawals. I didn't really get the concept of withdrawals. This is my first big vacation from using pills since I started taking Toms when I was 20, right? And now I'm about 23. Okay, so it's been a couple years now, right? And I've been using regularly and drinking regularly, and so I started drinking heavy, and then so they sent me home, and they said, you just got to get through this. I got through it. I actually got through it, and I was actually really surprised. Now that I look back, I was really surprised at that time in my life that I was able to do that. So I was able to kick the morphine, and at this same time, as I'm going through this transformation from no longer taking pills, I'm not like, hey, I'm a sober guy. I just stopped taking them, and I didn't tell anybody. I just was kind of like a closet user, right? And then all of a sudden one day I'm clean and I'm sober. And I remember being so constipated during that time too. Like you do the craziest things just to get some relief, and it's pretty wild. And so I met Erica, and at that time I met her at a bar, and at that time I had probably switched from pills to alcohol, and I was just drinking every day. It was like a regular thing, right? Everybody drank, and I had no idea that I was going to become a raging terrible alcoholic. So in this time I met Erica, and me and Erica had like a magical night. It was pretty wild. I'm not going to relive it on here for you guys, but we really, really connected, and it was in the middle of the winter, and there was like a nice weather that had come through, and we went snowmobiling, and I really connected, and it wasn't but 6-7 months later, and I moved up to Park Rapids with her. And then we lived on the river in Park Rapids for about a year, and then my injury happened. So Erica got to experience about a year and a half, 2 years of me being sober, away from the pills, because I didn't tell her what I had just been through with the morphine. I didn't tell her that. I didn't tell her that I was a raving addict. I didn't tell her that. Maybe I should have, but I also lied about a lot of other things. I told that my name was something else, and I finally had to come clean with her about that, and I had to tell her that my family was a little bit crazy, and and she got used to that, but I hurt my knee, and that addiction started like that. It took off, and it was off to the races, and it didn't take long after I got the Vicodin from my knee to be doctor shopping. And you guys have to realize, in a small town like Park Rapids, I think like 5,000-10,000 people, right? It's a lake. It's like a lake. Cabin country is what it is. Cabin country. It's middle of the Minnesota, and lots of lakes. We are the land of 10,000 lakes. If you guys didn't know that, we have lots of lakes. So there's lots to do up there, and me and her are just living life. And my addiction got fired up pretty badly, and so she got to experience me for a little while. And I started doctor shopping after I got in the small town atmosphere. Now there was one doctor office in town, and I got really good with him, and I got so good with him that there was times where I would call him on the telephone, and say, hey, I need a refill of this medication like pronto. And he would do that. He would give me what I wanted. And I started an addiction to Ultram, which is tramadol. And if you guys have ever taken that, it in large quantities, it can be very I don't want to say intense, but it makes I was really driven on it. I was really mean. And of course, you got the side effects of all these medications too, like, performance in the bed and constipation and stuff like that, and being, droggy. And I remember just filling refill after refill after refill and getting samples. He would give me samples because the refills, I couldn't refill it as much, and he would give me samples in between. And one day I called him on the telephone and was like, hey man, I'm going to be starting college here pretty soon, and I want to make sure that I'm really focused. And I think I have a little bit of ADHD. I think I need to try this medication called Adderall. And he's like, yeah, no problem. I'll get you this script. Now, this doctor's probably in his 60s and 70s, so he's old. So he's easy to manipulate, easy to get what I wanted. I would be all nice. I was a good-looking guy. I'd walk all nice into the office and schmooze with the ladies, the nurses, the secretaries, the front desk. And then when it came to the doctors, I had the knee injury, so I would get all the pain pills I wanted because my knee was still so messed up. I never got it fixed. And I had ways of making it look bruised and all that. So I had it all. I had all the tricks and tips down on how to fool people into believing me. And then I branched out, and I would go to Bemidji. I'll go to Detroit Lakes. I branched out and went to all these different doctors and was hitting doctors because this was right before the opioid epidemic. I was a part of the opioid epidemic. Unfortunately, in this conversation, I still have to tell you I'm still a part of the opioid epidemic. But we'll get there, okay? This is going to be a little bit of a longer video, and I don't have to work for a couple hours. I haven't gotten my text yet, whether I'm working or not, so I'm still waiting on that. And it might have come through. I think it did. So I had this addiction, and I was doctor shopping. I started going around in the area, and pretty soon, I was tapped out. I tapped out all the different doctors. I had tapped out the local doctor. He got on to me after I kept asking for different medications. But I was on all these uppers and all these downers and all these painkillers, and I was drinking alcohol every night, vodka. My wife's, at the time, family was big into alcohol, and so it was always around. And I went through a couple bouts with withdrawals. I went to treatment in Florida once. I went to treatment up in way up north in like International Falls. I went to a couple detoxes to try to get myself right, and it didn't work. And so me and Erica, I eventually convinced her to move down to the cities. And we left our house up there for rent, and a pair of renters actually just totally demolished our house, and didn't demolish it, but didn't take care of it, and we ended up getting foreclosed on. And so we moved back down here. And, within a couple years of living down here, I was in Minneapolis shooting heroin with people that I would have never, ever thought I'd associate with. And that's where our drug addiction brings us. And it's good to relive this because I really want to share this stuff with you, because what I'm going to talk about in the back half of this message now is the fact that when I went to treatment, I went to a long inpatient treatment. It was like, it's supposed to be a faith-based 12-month program, and it was called the Fish House, and it was up in Cambridge, Minnesota. And I was a part of the Fish House, and I got there in around 2011. And right after my charge, I had gotten out of jail. I had sat in jail for a while. I bailed out of jail. We found this place called the Fish House, so I got in there at about 2011, 2012. And at this time, I've reacquainted with my wife I'm married with now, Marissa. She came back into my life, and she was kind of experiencing that I am a good guy. I just have these demons that I'm dealing with. And while I was at this inpatient treatment center, I lived at this men's house, and the North House. And we lived, maybe it was the South House. And we lived with like 5 or 6 or 7 other guys, right? And a house manager. Some of the guys old, some of the guys young, and a lot of the guys that I saw there were kind of like, they were like nodding out, right? Like during class. And so I'm like, I'm not ready to be in recovery yet. I'm still looking for ways and means to get high. In fact, while I was there, I had James, one of the guys that lived in the house. He was on tramadol and Ultram, and so every once in a while I could get him to give me a few, and that only lasted a few months. But I wasn't ready to be sober. I wasn't. And I had all these. I had meth was my drug of choice. Pain pills was my drug of choice. Alcohol was my drug of choice. And I did a little bit of coke here and there. And I was shooting heroin. So I mean, it was just an absolute mess of drugs. And so I'm at there, and I'm seeing people nod off, and I finally figure out what they're nodding off from, and it was Suboxone. That was my first introduction to Suboxone. My first introduction to Suboxone, it took a minute for me to realize what was going on, because I was like, wait a minute, so you guys are in recovery, you're in sobriety, but you're taking this medication that makes you look like you're high. Well, so let me give you the rundown on what in my opinion, what Suboxone is and what it was told to me. And Dr. Dale Berry was the first person who got me on it. And he put me on a very high dose. I think they were starting people off at like 16 milligrams, or three 8 milligram tablets. So that's 24. So you take one in the morning, one at noon, and one at night. No wonder these people were nodding off. That is a huge dose to your system. And what's happening is your body is getting used to this drug, right? And what the doctors told me was, and they were telling other people in the house and in the program, was that this medication is there for you to curb your withdrawals from heroin, which I was already through. It was supposed to curb your cravings. When I would go into the doctor, they would sit you down, and you would get a list of 20 questions, and the 20 questions would be, how are you doing? How's your recovery? Are you going to meetings? Do you have a sponsor? Are you working the steps? And then they'll get to like the medication question. So are you craving anything? And of course, if you're honest, you'd be like, well, yeah, well, once in a while I'll be like, yeah, I think I want to do this. I want to do that. And he's like, well, then we need to up your dose. And so your doses would fluctuate, or he would start you on it and be like, hey, this is what you want it. And so this is what you want. You want to be on this because everybody else is, and we're all on it, right? We all have to go to the house manager in the morning and get our Suboxone. And Steve himself is on the Suboxone as well. So it's all just convoluted, and just everybody's on Suboxone. So we're all on really high doses. So the people that I saw nodding off were indeed on high doses, or were abusing it and taking it all at once, or whatever. I don't know. Dr. Dale Berry gets me on it in around 2012. It is 2025. So I've been on that medication that long. And I started off on a really, really high dose. And you guys have to remember that I came into recovery getting off meth, getting off heroin, prescription pain pills, and alcohol. So I was clean from all those four things, but I had this Suboxone piece to it, this component to it, right? So I don't really like it, and I don't really care for when people come on the channel. They say things like, well, you're not really truly in recovery if you're still on Suboxone. So let me get this straight. You're going to tell me, after I've been clean and clear from these other drugs and abstinent from these other things for so long, over 14 years, but you're going to say I'm not in active recovery because I take a 2 milligram pill of Suboxone, which is basically just subduing my physical symptoms of withdrawal. I am still on 2 milligrams of this medication. I take 1 milligram in the morning, and I take 1 milligram at night. And when I have tried to take zero, I go through quite a bit of a physical change. And so I need to make sure that I'm doing this at the right time, right? And I don't think during the holidays and right before I start school is a good time to go through withdrawals. So, I am human. People can say I'm not in recovery. I don't take this before I go on a motorcycle ride. I don't take this recreationally. I've been on it for so long now that it has taught me that it's almost like a maintenance thing, right? And that's what they are doing to us. That's what they are doing to people like me and people like other people who have been on this Suboxone and who have been able to kick it. And, it's glaringly obvious to me that I'm not as strong as maybe I could be, because if I was stronger, I'd be able to kick the Suboxone, or I would have been able to have done it already. But let me give you a couple caveats to this story. I go to my doctor, who is Dr. Andrew Peltier, and in 2012, Dr. Dale Berry was my initial doctor that he got me on the films. And then in around 2016, I think Dr. Dale Berry retired and Andrew Pelletier took over. And every time that I've gone to Dr. Pelletier and asked him to lower my dose or to maybe titrate off it and get off it, I'm not even kidding you, my wife as my witness, he raises the dose on me. So I'll get down on dose and I'll do really good. And sometimes I'll even just disappear from the program for a couple, like 3 or 4 months. And then because I'll be on such a low dose, I could make my prescriptions last forever. And I try to really just get off it and stay away from it. But then towards the end, you'll get down to your last 2 or 3 or 5 pills and you'll start to feel the physical things, you know, and you'll start to, because 1 milligram in the morning and 1 milligram at night is only simply just taking the edge off, right? That's all it's doing. And so it's not like, and this is a maintenance drug, you guys. This is a non-narcotic drug. This is not something that you get high on. It will peak. It peaks at like 24 milligrams. It peaks. You can't really take anything more than that. So the doctors were what were they doing? They were maxing us out at 24 milligrams to the point where we were like nodding off because of this medication. And then we were physically addicted to that. And so you would act like an addict. And so all this time, you guys, from 2012 until current day today, it's been in my life. And fortunately for me, in 2019, I was able to quit drinking alcohol. Alcohol was really, truly my vice. Yes, even as many of the drugs that I was taking and how I was taking them, shooting and stuff, I still think, that alcohol is my arch nemesis. It's not that I don't want to do it any time. Like today I feel so, I'm repulsed by it. You know, it's a nasty thing. And drugs I have a little bit lesser of a view on, I guess. I'm not as like stringent on that. Obviously they're still terrible. Meth, heroin, crack, fentanyl, all that, cocaine. All that stuff, you know, unless it's a plant medicine, it has no relevance in our society. Maybe it's used in other societies and other things, but in our society, it's not needed. These things aren't needed. Meth, Adderall, things like that, it's not needed. And people I know are out there are on these medications, and I don't think Suboxone is needed either. You know, things like cholesterol drugs, blood pressure medications, cancer medications, stuff like that people could utilize for children, and it's safe for both children and adults. But when you start mixing these amphetamines with barbiturates, and you start doing narcotics and illegal narcotics at that, these new drugs that they have coming out, the fentanyl, and it's terrible, you guys. So that's part of my story, you guys. That's part of what I bring to the table as somebody in recovery, that this whole time that I've been making these videos and doing everything, I've been silently fighting a battle on the inside. And now the last 4 years that I've had the channel, I obviously haven't been on a high dose. I've been on such a low dose for such a long time. That's what I'm saying. It's maddening. It's a medication that gets you addicted to, and then it's just one more thing that you have to try to fight in your recovery. So if anything, this has made me stronger in this time to fight and to give you a testimony that we can do this. I'm going to do it right now. I'm doing it. I am committed. I just have to get through the holidays, and I just have to get through my first, couple of weeks of school, and then maybe we'll make a move and try to have a long weekend and get rid of this poison. But I don't really care for it when people come on and make comments about me not being a legitimate or credible person in recovery. You can think that, and I'm okay with that, but we all have our demons. We all have something that is still affecting us in some way, and if you say you're perfect, then okay, great. But that's not how life is, So a little bit of sharing with you guys this morning. I wanted to share that with you guys this morning before I went to work. If I'm going to work, I don't think I am actually. Looks like the text says that there's no routes for me today. So I don't know. It's been frustrating. So I am living it one day at a time, and I hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas. Sorry for the long message, but hey, this is testimony, and if you feel like sharing with me down below, please do. I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover in this video. I just really wanted to hit the nail on the head with the people who think that we are not in active recovery because we take a low dose of Suboxone. I think you are sorely mistaken, because the people that are doing this are fighting a battle every day. We're still trying to get through, and so that's the thing. So also trying to make my life productive, and there's a purpose out there. And I think if we put down the old stinking thinking and the old ways and the drugs and the drink, I think we could find our own purpose. So God bless you guys. I hope you guys have a good holiday. We'll see you. Stay warm today.